What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 86 of the Offshore Gamescast. I am here to tell you that I'm Dave.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm Lile.
We're here
to tell you that Dave
is
also here.
Dave. I'm Dave.
Yeah, we're here to tell you all about Dave. This episode sponsored by Dave.
Dave.
You paid good money for this one.
I'm Dave from the Offshore Gamescast, also known as Dave.
All right, we're talking about Blanc today. Cute little indie game, but before we get to that, let's talk about some upcoming stuff. We got Blanc today. Next week, Like a Dragon, Ishin. And the week after that, Atomic Heart. That's quite a variety of these next three games.
Yeah, we are going through all the genres.
Yeah, they're not remotely similar in any way.
No, but it's okay.
You could also go to offshoregamescast.com/reviews and check out Dave's Straylight review for the VR fans.
Whoop, whoop.
And last but not least, if you have the time, please leave us a rating or a review on any of the podcast apps that you listen to us on. Also, if you are not already on YouTube, come check out our YouTube channel. You can see our faces, you can see gameplay, it's more visual. Some people like visual stuff.
Yeah.
Check us out on YouTube. We got our shorts, we got our TikToks, everything's been going well. Please take a look-see and stay a while. Put on a jacket, get a blanket, get a snack, get a lease, rent, see if you like it, maybe find a good school nearby, find a good housing, get a wife or a husband, get cozy, and the entire time, listen to us.
And maybe you can be Dave too.
You can be Dave too. But just know, I don't like competition.
Thank you again, Dave, for sponsoring this episode. You too can be Dave. All right, Lyle, what do we got with Blanc here? Is Dave in it?
Blanc, which is not pronounced blank. It is pronounced Blanc because it is a French game, and French needs to be pretentious. I want to add, I played this with a French person, and that's what he said. So I can say.
So you're in the clear. You're safe.
I am in the clear.
And I quote, "This is not me hating on the French. This is the French hating on the French."
French guy hating on the French. Yes, so Blanc, it was developed by Casus Ludi and published by Gearbox Publishing. They got picked up, and that actually enabled them to add online co-op. They at first only had the local co-op, but thanks to Gearbox, we can all play this around the world wherever. I can play this with a French person.
That is actually kind of a big deal to have online co-op in a game like this.
In a very specifically co-op game that they wanted to make co-op for a specific reason. It was released on February 14th, 2023. Valentine's Day, which is also, of course, a significant date for a co-op game.
I would imagine very intentional.
Oh yeah, very intentional. They said so. And it was released for the Nintendo Switch and the PC, which is where I played it. So take that however you will. Dylan will say something about how it ran on the Switch, I think.
Yeah, we'll get there. I played on Switch, and we had a little bit of a different experience with our performance.
Yeah. It is a 3D co-op puzzler game. A little bit like It Takes Two, but it is much, much simpler and also much, much shorter. Yes, Dave. Dave.
Did you play Brothers?
No, I have watched two people play Brothers.
So, to my knowledge, Brothers is the first Hazelight game that they released, and to which I love that as the time goes on, the population keeps growing, and that means more people with more opinions, and that also means more people wanting very smaller sourced things. I am a huge fan of these co-op games, like these forced co-op games. I think they're fantastic. And obviously, Hazelight knocks them out of the fucking park, but there's not enough of them. Hold on, give me a second. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah?
Anyway, it's back. So in Brothers, It's mainly you play it yourself. You can play it with somebody else. That's what I ended up doing, but it's one controller. So like the left stick will control one brother, the right stick would control the other. Same thing with the respective triggers. So we both held the controller in one hand. But based off what I've seen from Blanc, Brothers to me is probably the closest related because unlike something like It Takes Two or A Way Out, where that's much more heavy third person, you're doing a lot of stuff. Brothers is more of like a top down isometric where you're mainly doing that sort of puzzly stuff. Like, let me move this over here so you can climb up and do this. Let me that's where I'm seeing the connection.
That is actually probably true because I think you can't even run away too much from each other because the camera is fixed for both of you, I think. So you do follow your character, but the camera cannot go out very far. You just get stuck. So yeah, it is probably more like Brothers in that regard.
Does it do the sort of thing that Lego games will do, where if you do end up straying far apart, it sort of does like a diagonal slit and it sort of shows what you're doing? Or is it just like you have the entire screen, you can kind of like push it a little bit, but like you're still both in the one screen?
I mean,
everyone has their as it worked for me. The camera for me followed both of us, I think.
Yeah.
So we couldn't stay too far from each other, otherwise the camera would just got stuck. It doesn't do the split screen thing.
Yeah, it also doesn't really like bump out too much if you try run it. Like it will zoom out a bit.
Okay.
But
neither of your characters are leaving the confines of the boundary of the screen.
No, you can't. The levels
Gotcha.
the levels are built in a way that you just can't do that.
There's not exactly a lot of exploring.
No. It is very linear.
Yeah.
Has anyone noticed a Trek to Yomi reference in this game?
No.
No. Why? Just because it's black and white?
Partially, yeah.
Very different black and white style. Very different. Like
I don't know.
Trek to Yomi.
Maybe there's a bad ending where all of a sudden the samurai comes out and stabs both the animals.
God.
I don't know.
I mean, Trek to Yomi really has this this old TV look to it, old movie.
But Blanc has that like 1920s Mickey Mouse look.
I don't think so. I feel like Blanc.
I get the 1920s like old black and white Mickey Mouse cartoon sort of thing.
Blanc
obviously in more 3D style.
Yeah, Blanc has a very like pencil sketch art style to it, which is very intentional. I read an interview with like the head of Casus Ludi, and he talked about that they very specifically worked with this one artist, and he would just scribble everything on paper, and then the animation artist then took that into the game, but all the references were from his sketches on paper, and that is what you see in the game. It's very gorgeous. I love the art style of this game.
Do you happen to know its level of drawn like in-game items compared to something like Cuphead, which is almost frame for frame 100% drawn?
They say everything was drawn and that he did a few, I think he did the characters and a few of the assets in Photoshop, but very little. So most of it was just his drawings that they then translated into scanned and then translated into a 3D environment.
Okay, dope.
Yeah, and you can really see that, like, especially the fawn and the wolf cub, they are very detailed in this sketchy sounds weird, but in the sketch artist kind of way.
They look like they're up to something bad. They're committing crimes.
They're kicking people in the shins and running away.
This fawn and this wolf cub.
They're just troublemakers.
They are so cute and so detailed, and the environment also, like, for how white everything is, because everything is covered in snow, you could still see every detail of the game world that there was, and every detail that they did draw, and everything was very recognizable. You saw where you had to go most of the time, at least, and it was beautiful. Yes, Dave.
Are there footprints?
Yes, but they are very. That's actually a good point, because the fawn and the wolf cub made different footprints. Like the fawn, when it like galloped, it only like touched the ground every once in a while the wolf cub was like pushing through the snow and pushing the snow away. It was very cute.
That's adorable.
Yeah, and they did make different footprints, and because you're also searching for both like the families of both the animals, they also make different footprints. So you can most of the time you can tell if you're following the deer versus following the wolves.
I wanted to you were talking about like how the main animals look, like the wolf cub and the fawn in this art style. I actually love how that works, specifically with the wolf cub, how they're like they're like scribbled in almost all the way,
Mhm.
but there's some like not scribbled in parts, but in a way that really works for what you would expect like a baby wolf to look like. So we're like, it's like, yeah, it has like this black fur, but there's some like white or gray mixed in there, and it works. It works well in a weird way of like, oh yeah, it's like clearly hand drawn, but also that is like, yes, fur looks like that.
Yeah, you can really tell that an artist really did this. Someone who does this for a living and who can make this recognizable. I think that's why the environments work so well too. Because you could tell this is a boat, this is a tractor, this is stairs. And that, I think that's hard to do if you only have black and white and a few shades of gray in there. And they did that extremely well. I really, really like that.
Yeah,
And I do hope,
the look is very good.
I do hope that Casus Ludi maybe works with this artist again, because I would love to see more of this art style from him in a video game. That would be amazing. I think part of maybe why this game is so short, they said that they know that a lot of people cannot look at white for this long.
It is very white.
Yeah. So that might actually be a reason for why this game is so extremely short as it is, because it's only 1 hour to an hour and a half long.
I mean, my most comfortable setting is having every single light off and sitting in bed and playing whatever's on TV, having that be the only light coming.
Oh god, I cannot do that. I would get a headache immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with this game.
Yeah.
I bet.
We still had glitches, especially I was playing the fawn, and that was craning its neck all over the place all the time. I don't know why. It looked so weird. I felt like it was supposed to be that the fawn was looking at the wolf cub or on the tracks. And because we had syncing issues in online mode, it didn't know where the wolf cub was all the time, so it did kind of like...
Oh, that was probably way worse for you then, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's totally the fawn, because I also play it as the fawn, is trying to... They clearly are trying to make it look at like something that's going on, or the wolf cub specifically, especially when you're close. But sometimes it is just like, ugh.
Yeah. It didn't register with the wolf cub as much because its neck isn't as long.
Right, yeah.
But with the fawn, it did some weird neck breaking motions at times. But
so when there's connection issues, it turns into a horror game called Blanc Paranoia.
Yeah, a little bit.
Pretty much.
A little bit. and I think what irked me the most was the camera, because since it was fixed, I feel like there shouldn't have been as many problems with it as there were, because especially that might actually be syncing issues too, because once we did get a a bit away from each other, a bit of a distance between the characters, the camera did not know what to do. It just zoomed out a bit and then just got stuck. And there was one part where you go through like a little bit of a canyon or something, and you had to go, it was a bit bendy. We lost sight of our characters completely. Like the camera did not follow along, and that might have been a syncing issue too, because if the game thought we weren't as far as we were, then that actually makes sense. That was a problem that we had, for sure.
That sounds like it would be with the syncing, because I did local co-op, and while I did have some issues of like, oh, one of us is sliding down this hill, so we start moving fast, and the other one like doesn't do it at the same time, so then the camera just zooms out a lot, and one is kind of way ahead of the other. But it did always kind of keep us in front, other than one time where it kind of like clipped through a bunch of buildings and did some weird stuff to get us back in there. I would imagine that's a syncing thing, especially if you
that might be
had an issue with like things teleporting. And
yeah,
that's where my next question comes in. Because the camera is fixed, are you running into a lot of like the camera clipping with environment as you're going through?
Not really, because the camera is kind of far behind and also above, so you're looking at them from behind all the time, or most of the time, sometimes from the side. But since it's above all the environments, I don't think, except for the canyon part, there it did get stuck.
That was that was when it was the worst, when there's sliding down hills and stuff happening to where more distance is created and there's more speed. When it was just like, oh, you're in this small environment and you're just kind of puzzle platforming your way through it together, it was pretty good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for the most part for us as well. I think there was just but that was probably also syncing issues. We sometimes, when we didn't quite realize when we reached the end of the level, because it usually did a fade out at the end of the level if you reached it, because it wasn't always super obvious where it was. And there also sometimes it took like 3 seconds and you were waiting, there's something happening, I can't move anymore. So we had that too, for sure.
Yeah, there was definitely some polished things with that, to where we would reach the end, because it looks like a lot of the end of a level, if you will, not that it's necessarily segmented in levels like that, but it looks like you're still just going to be going down a path or something, and then you just kind of hit that wall and you're like, okay.
Yes.
And then it starts loading, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
But I did read on the Steam reviews that the syncing issues are just a thing, apparently, currently in the build that they have, which does make sense to me, because indie games usually have these issues if they are in any way, shape, or form multiplayer, if it's co-op or if it's real multiplayer, because they just do not have the access to the servers that other big games do. And I think for the glitching, that can easily be fixed in the next months. So I'm not going to be too harsh in that regard, but the syncing issues, they are a problem. We had to restart the game at one point completely, just because we were desynced, and that just, it's annoying, especially if you're only playing this for like an hour or an hour and a half.
Were you far in when that happened?
Well, it did save our progress, so we didn't have to start over.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, we just got back in at the point where we were, essentially. So very gladly that wasn't a thing. Now, transitioning into the music, that was also just extremely beautiful. It was just some piano in the background, so there wasn't like an orchestra. I guess it was a synth piano, but it was just very calming, very playful which completely makes sense with the character design. It's so cute, and that's what the music just mirrored as well. You had some parts that are more dramatic, where the playing gets a little bit more intense and a little bit more dramatic, but it all fit so well. I could just, like, on a rainy day when I'm reading something, I could see myself just listening to it just as background noise. It was just very, very pleasant.
Yeah, it was very good at being subtle, but still adding a lot to the game.
It definitely helped anchor the game emotionally, because there is no dialogue in the game at all. You only have a few prompts for the button presses, but otherwise there's no written word at all. So you only have like the very, very few cutscenes that you have, and you have the gameplay and the other person that you're playing with, and then the music that kind of enhances the emotional part of the game. And that's really where that music came in, and why I actually really, really liked it. Now, sound design wise, there wasn't anything that was out of place or that would have stood out to me in a way. I don't think they did like a cartoony thing at all. It was just walking on snow and barking and making very cute deer noises.
Yeah.
Like, this game is all around is just extremely cute.
Yeah, that yes, it's a very cute game.
Yes. And I think that is also extremely intentional.
Yeah.
But yeah, the music, I try to pay more attention to it now, to music, since I do review games in a sense. So that just stood out to me as being very fitting and very beautiful.
So for all of the Dylan stands out there, how much of this game is daytime?
This won't this game doesn't scratch the daytime city itch that I have. It didn't.
But is it daytime?
I would say, I mean, it's all black and white, so it's a little hard to tell because it's always like white because of snow. I guess it's daytime for most of it.
I think so too, yeah.
I think at one point they have it to where like it was after a level or something, and then you kind of like wake up out of a shed or something, right? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, but that was because of a snowstorm and not because it got dark, right? I don't remember.
That's true. I think daytime. It's not really explicit, and you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but no, it doesn't. It does not give the daytime city Dylan vibe that I am always on the search for.
We're gonna have to go through this every game, every episode, just so people know how good it'll be for them, the other people who also need the daytime.
Maybe I'll start a wiki, daytime Dylan games.
You only play The Sims in like daytime mode.
Yeah, once it hits night, I turn off the TV.
Yeah, okay. Very nice. So, if that is of interest to you, dear listener, dear watcher, everything is in daylight.
Listen, Dave is asking the important questions here. I'm glad that this got brought up.
That is true.
Well, I have to know. I'm a big fan of the details. I'm a big fan of the little items. This isn't a little item. This is important, and I need to know where this ranks.
I mean, he is also sponsoring the episode, so he's allowed to ask any question that he wants to. So.
Yep, that's true.
See,
he's
my favorite part. My favorite part of this so far is especially when like I am the one who either didn't have the time or just like haven't played the game. I get to sit here and ask all the questions, and it's fun.
Yeah,
it is fun. You're true.
Interviewing.
So, gameplay wise, very, very simple. This is definitely designed to play with kids. You only have 2 buttons. One of them is running, and the other one is interact with any given thing that you have. Like the fawn, for example, can push things because it's a little bit stronger, and the wolf cub can bite things, can bite through rope and stuff. And the fawn can also help the little wolf get up onto higher places. It jumps on its ass for that.
Yeah, it does. When that first
That was-
happened, I was like, oh yeah, you just jumped right off my butt.
I thought they would maybe do the other way around, so it just jumps from the head or something,
no.
but it's the butt, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, as the game goes on, even more creatures jump off your butt. It's just
That's true. That is true.
got the
What kind of community ass is this?
got the strongest butt in town.
Oh
my
yeah,
God.
that fawn.
Is it a daytime game? How strong is the ass?
Strong.
Very. If you're a butt person, play the fawn.
Oh, bud, just wait until we get into Atomic Heart if you want to talk about butts.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen a bit of that. Anyway,
The
There
offshore
is-
butt
there is-
good game.
There,
Good game.
oh, yeah,
Blanc is a very cute
oh, yeah.
game, people.
Yeah, no, that is
Sexy robots.
It's this is not a sexy game. By
No, this is
by any means.
like in that interview I've read, like the guy said that they very specifically try to make this game so that people who usually do not game can be taught by a gamer. And that they
Yeah, yeah.
and that they initially thought like the parent would teach the kid, but then when they play tested it, they saw a lot of kids teaching their parents instead.
Yeah, I
Can
could
we-
totally see this being a good game for that.
Yeah.
Can we have a little offshoot discussion?
Uh-oh. Yes.
I mean, you're the
So-
sponsor, so
Yeah.
So this is something that I've seen YouTube videos on before, and I find it absolutely fascinating, is how someone who is so, I guess, connected or plays a lot of games, it's so ingrained in them when certain things happen in games that you don't necessarily need, like, an instruction or it telling you what to do. You've played so many games, you can tell by the beats. But there's so many videos that I've seen of like, oh, here's my significant other, for example, and they aren't a gamer. I'm going to put them down and sit them through 10 different games to see what they do. And I find it fascinating because I'll watch like Emily play something and she's like running around and doing this, and I'm over here like, it's the door. It's right there. But like, I don't need to be told anything. It's just like, you play so many games, you just know what to do. You know what's going to happen next. Everything follows some similar little thing. And I find how fascinating it is just how almost like a skill it can be, like how much of a skill fun can be. Like, it's weird.
what a way to put how much of a skill fun can be.
It is true though,
Yeah,
because in order to have fun doing something like that, it requires something from you.
Yeah, I actually very recently taught my mom how to play House Flipper. And my mom does not game at all. So WASD, she has no
Yeah.
concept of this. So
Yep.
she didn't know what to do. She just looked around with the mouse and then did everything that she could do from that spot that she was in. And then she just walked forward every time and navigated with the mouse without using any other keys ever. And it was the
Mhm.
funniest fucking thing, but it was so heartwarming to watch this because
Yeah.
it's something that comes so natural to me as a gamer, and then seeing her trying it, I was so happy that she was even willing to do it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Because she demonized games for a lot of my teenage years. So it's just nice to see, look, this is actually fun.
Yeah.
There were times I remember I grew up, my first home console was a Wii. So I got used to using the nunchuck and the Wii remote. And with that, I played my Call of Duty games like that and whatnot. But the day that I got the whatever Wii Pro controller with the dual analog sticks, it took me 2 weeks to get adjusted to that sort of controller playing. And to which I remember the only thing that me and my dad would play would be Mario Kart Wii, because of how simple it was for him. Now, I don't know why he kept wanting to play, because I would absolutely destroy him every single time. But it got boring to a point where I'm just like, just take the time to like learn the sticks and whatnot. Like, all you do is sit around and drink anyway. Just learn something else. So like, just try, and it like I can only imagine how cool it would have been, like, because I've tried this with my mom as well, just like trying, but like they only get so far. But it's like I always try to tell people the world and the experiences that you'll have once you just get over that little hump is like astonishing.
That
Yeah,
I feel you. I really feel you on that.
it really is a different. It's its own thing in the sense of like, yes, you can watch a movie and obviously you can have very emotional connections,
Mm-hmm.
or a movie can have a very emotional impact on you. And not to say that one is better than the other, but gaming, while it can provide similar emotions in that way, it also it creates a level of immersion that you can't get otherwise, really.
It's the interaction. You
Yeah.
are the movie. You are interacting. You are doing. It's you. You're not just sitting there being brought along on like on a rail. You're part of it. You are making the decisions. And I love every once in a while you get those YouTube videos like it's just a game, and then it's all the cutscenes of like how it's not just a game, and everyone's crying and shit. Like it's exact. Like that's I love when I always have the arguments when it comes to both Bioshock Infinite and Yakuza 0, because people are like, "Oh, video games," and I'm just like, "No, fucking, there's stories. There's better stories than almost any movie I've ever seen, and I'm crying at them. Fucking try it, you ah, you know."
I feel like in that regard, Blanc is actually pretty genius because it is so simple and it really helps you get over that initial hump because of the simplicity, both in game design and in look, and also in the emotional investment, because it's not a grand story that you have to be invested in for hours upon hours. It's just this very, very short, sweet story that everyone understands on an emotional level because you have seen this. But even like kids, I would imagine, oh, we are running after the family, oh, something happens and now we are friends and stuff. Like it's so universal in its simplicity that I think in that regard Blanc really shines actually.
There's going off of like that sort of you play games for forever. You know, one of the I find it so interesting. My big main thing is you look at something like Blanc, and that is basically like that's linear. You can't get more fucking linear, especially in an hour or so. Like that shit is linear. And when you get to games like Last of Us 2, one of my favorite things about that game is almost its use of common sense as a mechanic of letting you just do things that you didn't like most games wouldn't let you do, but you can do it. Like, oh, here's a little hole in a fence. I don't think I can make it through there. Oh my god, I can make it through there. Like this is a path that I can take. One of the things that I find fascinating about this sort of divide between people who play games and don't is their belief that from the get go, everything is common sense. You look at something like Blanc and you put like a random parent in there, they're not going to look at like the edges of the path and think that's my restrictions. They're going to go, can I go over here? Can I do that? No, you can't. This is a video game. It's linear. I don't understand. Okay, well, you have to get from point A to point B. You can't just explore. There's there's invisible walls. What? Oh my god, you just go play some games. But like there's so many common sense things that normal people think that they should be able to do. Like, why can't I climb over this? I know you should be able to, but this is a video game. Like that it's so
Sure,
interesting.
there is definitely what you learn as a gamer to accept as
Accept
limitations.
the limitations that
Yeah,
you know.
that is also a skill at one point. Just you see a stack of chairs, you know that is not climbable. Could I common
Hmm.
sensely just push them out of the way? Sure, but it's not. That's not how the game works.
And then you can go into like the real heavy stuff. So like for example, you're getting your wand right in the beginning of Hogwarts Legacy. You see the entire shelf, but you see 3 wand boxes that you know for a fact are interactable with the environment based off everything else that's just static. So I know for a fact, all right, so they made one model for this box. They made it interactable 3 times, so they put it here, here, and here. So I know that every single time something gets interacted with, it's going to be this specific green box. And from looking at something like, all right, I can't touch that, I can't touch that. That I'm gonna fucking touch you.
Yeah, that is all. As I said, that's also a skill that you learn.
Mhm.
That you learn while while gaming, and that for Blanc, I think, translates so well with the art style, because what is interactable is quite apparent, I think.
Mhm.
At least that's how I felt, as a gamer, though. So that might be different for someone who isn't a
Yeah.
gamer, but I didn't really. I mean, they do put these these lines on where things are interactable, where you can jump. So that definitely makes it easier. I honestly don't even know if I needed that in most cases. There was some where I did get confused, and there it was necessary. But I feel like in most cases they did a really, really good job of non-verbally telling you this is where you need to go without having the gamer typical yellow as an indicator.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
always
god.
yellow. It always
It
is.
Yeah.
it's blatant. Like I always think of God of War in the climbing when it comes to that, and Atomic Heart also has yellow. So I'm just like, I see it as I'm walking up to a section. I go, fuck
I
you.
think
Like
it's
do something different. But at the
probably,
same time, if it wasn't yellow, I would not know where to go. Like that's
yeah.
the annoying thing.
I also think it's probably a colorblind thing too, right? Why they choose yellow specifically.
Ooh, I wonder.
That
Yeah.
that does make sense.
That's just how I always explain it to myself, at least.
Mm. I no this I don't need to say this. I got really excited about something.
Okay. But yeah, as I said, through context, through the art, you definitely can move very, very smoothly to this world. And if you have played games before, you understand what you're supposed to do very intrinsically without the game needing to tell you much.
Yeah. It kind of like you said, like we are gamers, so like I don't know what it would be like for other people, but for us, it was very much like, oh, look at that, this thing. It looks like I could clearly push it to use it as a
Yeah,
platform. I instinctually know that.
It's
exactly.
like a gamer's math language in your head.
Yeah,
Like character can jump. This is jumpable. Jump plus jumpable equals move over. Get across. Like shit like
Yeah.
that.
yeah. And the one thing that I do want to mention that was the most amazing thing about the game is the sliding.
The sliding is fun,
You
except like
can,
when I said when one person gets ahead of the other one too
yeah.
much.
We there's one level where you are taught how to slide, and it is really just a slide. One, it starts on like a hill with nothing around, and then you go through like a city and everything. That was so cool, because there it so made sense to be on rails, because the game just wants you
Yeah.
to give you this experience of flow. It doesn't want you to fail at this. It just wants you to be in motion through this level. And that was the most fun we had throughout the entire game. That was amazing. Yes, Dave.
That's me. So you're getting into like more of the main gameplay coming up now, but my question is when it comes to these sort of co-op games, with something this might just be a me thing, but I know a lot of people feel it. With how simple as something Blanc is with its sense of co-op, are there any moments where you get those fun things of just yelling at your partner to be like, "Go over here. No, do this. Do this so I can do this." Because then it takes two in a way out. I love those moments of like, fucking come here. Like, you need to do this.
I mean, sure, if you have someone, if you're playing with someone who's maybe inattentive or just wants to run around and mess with you, definitely. But since it is so short,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really get those moments a lot. That's at least our experience. There wasn't also that much to mess around with.
Jointly do. Okay.
Like,
Yeah, it was pretty simplistic and like yes, like oh the wolf cub needs to bite something down for the fawn to advance, or then needs to push something for the wolf cub to advance, but it never was like oh like no come on go do this because you were already moving along that path together anyway because
yeah.
there's not
Okay.
really anything else. There's really like there is no exploration in this game.
No, there isn't. It really is everything that is interactable is part of a puzzle. There isn't anything that you can do that is not required to do to finish the game.
Okay.
So there isn't, like you said with the Lego games, there's always like some funny stuff you can just randomly do for no reason at all. You don't have that here. And since I said before, we did have syncing issues, so that made the puzzle a bit harder than it needed to be. Like, there's a section where you have two goats that follow you, and they mirror everything you do. So the puzzle is to get them out of their pen while you need to get them out. So you need to do different things. They will copy what you do, and then they can run along, essentially. But because we had syncing issues, the goats didn't always do that in the speed that would have been necessary to make the puzzles work. So sometimes we knew exactly what we were supposed to be doing, but because the goats didn't copy what we were doing fast enough, we just got ahead and they stayed back there, and we didn't know why are they not coming here? We don't understand what is happening. And I don't know if you had that on the Switch as well, if they were just very slow.
Not necessarily. We did have a couple of times where there was one where one part of that where you had to guide one of the goats like up on top of a pipe, another one down low, and it was like, oh, we already walked along this path, but for whatever reason the goat decided not to go like down the side they had to.
Yep.
So we jumped down, did it again, and then for whatever reason it worked that time. I can only imagine the sync issues made that way more difficult.
I think we had to do that 4 times till it worked. Because the goat actually, for me, started teleporting up and down, just like
yeah, that's good.
That was amazing. Yes, Dave?
Hi, that's me. So when you're playing on the Switch specifically, is it like one Joy-Con, one character, one is the other? Or are you using like 2 Joy-Cons, whoever has like a controller and whatnot?
I would imagine you can just do 1 Joy-Con for each person. That's not how we played, because we do have a couple Switches in the house, so we had pretty much our own full controllers. But you could definitely, with how simple it is, how it really is, just like move, gallop or sprint and interact. You definitely can just play with 1 Joy-Con each.
Now, is this also one of those games where you would have to buy 2 copies, or they do the thing where it's like...
I don't know for... okay, so, yeah.
For online co-op, you both have to have the game.
Okay. I like when they do the thing. Everyone knows the thing.
Yeah. I wish that would have been, because
some really bad fucking games do the thing.
That would have really impacted my general opinion on this game, I think.
Well, I just got reminded about Wolfenstein Youngblood, so
yeah, that even spending, because we did local co-op, so we didn't have any of those online issues, thankfully, and willing to buy 1 copy of the game that way. So a collective $30 for, the hour to hour and a half experience is expensive for, I mean, yes, like you are still each only spending 15, but that's an expensive experience total for what it is.
And I think that is really what impacts my opinion of this game the most, because I do think it's beautiful. I do think it has a lot of great art direction. I can excuse the graphical glitches in an indie title. I have no problem with that. But with the price that it has of 15 euros or dollars, I don't know, and you have to buy that with 2 people, so you're spending $30 and you're playing for an hour and a half. I just have to say it is not worth it.
And
I feel...
Did you cry?
We'll get to that in the spoiler talk.
Ooh, because that's gonna tell me whether this game is what you rated it as or as a fucking one. So that's what I'm hearing.
um, I feel really bad because I do feel like they wanted to make sure to pay their devs what they thought they deserved.
Appropriately, yeah.
But when I look at Steam and I see what other games are available for $15, I just have to say you need to wait for a sale for this.
Hmm.
Fair.
Yep. And now we transition into the story. We will have some spoiler thoughts, but I will point that out specifically when I'm there. So you do play as the little animal companions, a fawn and a wolf cub. They lose their families in a snowstorm, and then they have to help each other. And I think it's really, really cute how they initially set that up, because you start with the wolf cub, and then the wolf cub finds the fawn, and at first it's growling at the at the fawn, and the fawn is very skittish. And then they walk along this path, I think, above a frozen river. I don't
Yeah,
quite
there's like
remember.
a river kind of dividing the two of them.
Yeah, and you're walking on different sides of this river, and then you just progressively get closer and closer until you connect at one point where you find the footprints of the families, and you realize they are both walking in the same direction. And then
I was hoping for like you had to solve puzzles as you're walking down the river. So these two just met and they're like, I need you to move this. Fuck you. I mean, I'm gonna do it, but fuck you.
no, at first you actually just walk and jump a bit along this river bank.
Hmm.
But I thought that was really beautiful of how you came together as these two characters, and how they non-verbally again just made that happen. I really like that setup for this game in particular.
Yeah, very
And
cute when they go from hating each other to just like, oh, our families, let's work together, and then they're just like inseparable.
yeah, I feel like it's also less of they start off hating each other. It feels more like you are an unknown to me.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what you are. I just have this maybe instinct that you are not safe, maybe. But then you come together and you start running around and sliding around in the snow.
It's just a
And
snow day.
yeah, it's all around like a game, I think, about connection, because you help this little duck family, which I think was the most annoying puzzle of the game, but
Mhm. Yes, it was.
you also help these two goats, and then you go along and find another wolf cub and a fawn, which I thought was very, very weird. But okay, I thought they were seeing ghosts at first.
So we kind of thought that at first too, like, oh wait, are they like our shadows? Is this some sort of weird shadow puzzle thing? And then it starts to click like, oh no, these must also be our family members or something, but
Yeah.
somehow ended up with a wolf cub and a fawn together.
Yeah, I thought that was a weird choice to do, but
Yeah.
whatever. You do get some more storytelling through the environment, because I very specifically remember the moment when I said to my friend who was playing with me, is this like a dystopian world of the future? Because at one point you're at this farm, but everything is snowed in. Like you can only see the very tippy top of the houses, and there's also I guess like snow that is very unsafe for you to walk on, because you have to jump around it, where you would sink in or something. And then we just made up the story that this is probably a world that was devastated by climate change, and now they are in this perpetual world of ice and snow.
I think that's what it was supposed to be, because this was not just like an average or even just like a bad snowstorm as we know it, because yeah, we're talking farm buildings, only their roofs peeking out.
And like even like the climate change thing, there isn't anything that it's not like with like a morality hammer or something. It's very subtle actually. Like it took us a while to realize that at all. It just feels like that is one step that they were going for, to see like, to say like, this is actually might actually happen, that there's no humans around, or that humans abandoned this, specifically this part of the world or something.
Yeah, it's not as on the nose as something like Endling Extinction is Forever, which is very
No.
clear, like that's what they're going for.
Yeah,
Whereas
I mean
this,
that,
yeah, like
that
I
game
didn't
is
even think
specifically
about
built
people.
around. Yeah, that game is specifically built around that idea
Right.
too. So, and this isn't. This is more of like, I think I will forever have the Fox and the Hound in mind for this game, because it's
Sure, yeah.
very, very similar story.
Fox and Hound, Homeward Bound, Milo and Otis, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, those type of movies. But I do feel like that the implications of this kind of ice age that I feel like they're in are very dire if you think about it till the end of what that means for both the wolves and the deer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean,
Okay,
they
so we get
set
the
up this-
sequel where they go to the power plant, they restart it, fix all of it, they start getting all the snow away, and then they
Exactly.
start finding all the fossilized frozen family members, and then it gets really sad again.
Yeah,
And
that's what it feels like. Yeah, for the game as a whole, because I do want to get into spoilers a bit, my opinion would definitely be higher if it wasn't so expensive. I think it's not worth it. If it were like maybe $5 to $8 or so, I would be like, get it. It's cute and it's fun if you have someone to play it with. And now I want to talk spoileries a bit. So if you don't want, I mean, the game is an hour and a half long. There isn't that much that can happen.
Yeah. There's already, when you think of a game with two animals where normally one would hunt the other, you kind of already start to build, and I guess the spoiler warning is there, which you start to build an idea in your head of what's going to happen, and I'm kind of glad that they don't necessarily go there.
Yeah. My friend kept saying, I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna eat you.
We were saying throughout the whole game, like, we're totally gonna like walk up on these families and the wolves are destroying the deer, and then like it's gonna
That's
be a
what
thing.
I thought as well when we realized that they were like not far away from each other, the families.
Yeah.
We were like, oh no, will one of the wolves will have eaten the mom or something like that? Like at
the
They
end of the
knew what
game
they were
comes,
doing,
you guys
too.
split off. The fawn goes and finds the wolf family, dies by the wolf family. The cub goes over and finds the fawn family, dies by the fawn family. Then they meet up each other, and then they kill each other, and then you know what? There's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, since this is such a simple game, also puzzle wise, at one point I feel like I know how this ends. They will meet each other and then they will just go their separate ways, and that is exactly what happens in the end. They find their families, they look at each other very long because the credits are longer than I thought they were.
Yeah, there wasn't even really much happening. It's not like they were like they were just
Yeah, they were just
Staring.
staring at each other, and then they just go with their respective families to live in this ice world and die in 2 weeks.
probably.
But as you all know by now, I like my games to be very emotional. And building emotion in an hour and a half in a video game, you can do that in a movie for sure. But in a video game, I think that's very hard to do. And I did not feel very connected to these animals, even though they were super cute and I love them. It's just, there isn't that much there.
There's no depth.
Yeah, no depth. The only thing that almost made me cry, almost, was when I thought that the goat was was dead. Because at one point there's this thing that happens at the beginning of Stray
Yeah,
where you jump on a pipe and then you fall down,
Yep.
and that happened with the goat, and it went all like ragdolling.
Yeah, it was just down there, just
And I thought it was dead. I screamed. I wish I had footage of my reaction of this because I was disturbed. You cannot kill baby animals in my games. You are not allowed to do that, but they didn't do it. It was fine.
yeah. And then I'm very glad you put it in your notes here, so more spoilers, I suppose. They just did it again right after that.
That was so stupid.
Yeah, you find Dave. You know, she said you find like your other wolf cub fawn. That other wolf cub falls, and they do the same exact thing where it's like, oh, it's dead. Nah, it's fine. Go get it.
And I knew that they wouldn't do it because they didn't do it the first time.
Yeah, it was. It was just silly to do it twice and like right after each other. There was like not much time between.
In the span of 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was so stupid. I felt like, couldn't you have thought of something else to happen to the wolf cub instead of just falling down again?
Yeah.
I've seen way too many movies in my life growing up, and it has unfortunately conditioned me to just see so many like story beats before they happen, and things are just so much more predictable than they should be. But that shit would piss me off.
Yeah, it actually annoyed me because I was like, is that really all you can come up with now to build tension in the last 10 minutes of this game? Would there have not
It's like
been
it's the last 10
anything
minutes,
else?
this thing goes down, I'll be like, nah, it's not dead. I've been playing. I don't, and even if it was dead, I don't care. Credits are almost here.
I mean, it worked with the goat because that was not part of your family, and you were trying to help it, and then it would have died, and that would have been really sad, and then they pulled out at the last second.
Yeah.
And didn't commit to the emotional devastation that would have caused me.
They should have had like the dad wolf or whatever just like pull out a gun and like shoot one of the sheep. That would have been so much cooler.
I do think
that would have been a twist.
That would have been a twist.
Everyone unzips, the snow unzips, like everything is not the way it seems.
Do you know that game? I think that's not out yet. Squirrel with a gun, where it's really just like a squirrel with a gun running around.
Yes, I have seen that. Dave, I know you've seen that too, so I'm pretty sure you sent it to me.
Probably. I saw something.
I do think what was kind of cool and clever was that these families were, the wolves and the deer, I would imagine, were from like a wildlife park. That's like the last part.
Ooh.
Yeah, the last part you go to in the game is this abandoned wildlife park. And I think in that sense, it made a bit more sense for the wolves to be a little more docile and maybe even used to deer, even though you wouldn't put them in the same cage. But I just felt like, okay, actually now that makes a bit more sense that they aren't as aggressive as wild wolves. And I actually, that was really something where I was like, that is really neat. I like that you did that. I really like that.
It definitely adds a little bit to it of why the wolves would not just be wolves
Munch.
in nature,
Yeah.
you know.
Munch on these deer. So for my
There's no
final,
like fun Romeo and Juliet twist where they start making out at the end or anything.
no,
Definitely
they just
not.
look at each
They
other,
stare.
and then they walk their separate ways, and then they
That's
die
kinda
in
hot,
2
though.
weeks. Is it?
Yeah, that's
Maybe for
sexual
Dave.
tension, staring back and forth.
They are
Over death.
babies, Dave. They are
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah, you
Are
got
the babies staring or are the family staring?
Just the
Babies.
Oh, just the babies?
Yeah.
I don't know. Animals are weird. They fuck from the beginning, and then they fuck till their death.
It wasn't romantic.
Yeah, there was definitely none of that.
My final score, and again, take this with a grain of salt because of the price, is 5 out of 10. I did love the art style. I did love the music. I just think it is too expensive. If you can get it on sale, I would recommend it. But otherwise, nah.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair because not even taking price into account, both my girlfriend and I were like, yeah, this is kind of like a six-ish territory for us. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's Blanc. I do hope they keep the art style though, because
yeah, no, there's
Lile is
definitely
very cool.
potential here
Yeah.
for something better.
Like what we said at the end when we were finished, we were like, this feels like a demo. This feels like a demo for a bit bigger game.
Yes, that's actually a pretty good way to describe it, I think.
But it's a $15 demo. So
we have a few fun facts about the game.
We do. You
Let's
did a
start off
thing,
with-
Dylan.
Yeah, we did a poll. We asked the people, Wolf Cub or Fawn? Who you playing as? Not surprisingly, Wolf Cub. 75% people went for them, 25% went for the Fawn.
To be fair, I also would have played the Wolf Cup if my friend hadn't packed that at the very beginning.
Yeah, I also would have went with the Wolf Cub. But my girlfriend kind of called dibs on that, so I was like, all right, I'll be the Fawn, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, wolves, they're cool.
They're
like
cooler.
dogs.
Yeah. We all like dogs. I mean, not everyone, but most people.
No, we all do.
The good people of this
Yeah,
world.
I think even the people that say they don't like dogs, deep down, it's...
I think...
All right, Lile, you got some other fun facts here.
Yeah! If you do need a serotonin boost, you can look on Blanc's Twitter because they posted a lot of the pets of the devs and their families who inspired them to make this game, and it is so incredibly cute. There are a lot of cats, a lot of dogs, but also like hair and what was I think there was even a pony in there once.
Ooh, that's
so cute. If you want to look at some cute animals, go to their Twitter page. It's amazing. They also put a lot of fawn or deer and wolf facts on there. So if you're interested in some wildlife and learn, I think most specifically about North American wolves and deer, there's also a lot to find there. If you want to educate some children or something, that's fun. As I said, I also read the interview with the head of Casus Ludi, and they said that they very intentionally put restrictions on their creativity with doing it in black and white, doing it in co-op, and having no antagonist. So really, this is like a cooperative experience that they wanted to make. And what I thought was very interesting too is that they originally wanted to make this for a game jam, which makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. And then Gearbox came in and said, "Have more money." But like they really said, we wanted to put these restrictions on us to see if we could make a game that worked in these parameters. And I think for indie devs, that is actually a good thing to do, because then you work in a certain frame and you realize very quickly if you go out of these frames. And it also keeps your story focused. And I think that they did manage to do. Also, if you are into crocheting, there are templates for both the fawn and the little wolf cub.
Ooh,
and I've seen pictures of people having done them. They are amazing. If I were into that shit, I would make this because I want a plushie like this. They are very, very cute.
That's cool. I like that. Instead of making it themselves and just selling it for money, they're like, here you go.
Yeah, here you go. You can do it
you can
yourselves.
Make it.
Maybe I'll do that.
Can you crochet?
Oh, I've got a shit ton of supplies in a bag upstairs.
I could maybe ask my roommate. They would probably do it too. But they would hate me because it would take them ages to do it.
Are you bigger than them?
No, We are same height.
Oh.
I'm also not like very. You see, like my little arms.
Do they have bigger arms?
Yeah, they do.
Oh shit. My cue is to always beat the shit out of anyone in your way. So
Yeah, I haven't been able to do that since I was like 14, unfortunately.
okay. Watch out for 14-year-old Lyle. Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely. That was a
Wow.
very much more
14-year-old
aggro
Lyle was on a rampage.
that Lyle was much more aggro than this one is, for sure.
All right, notable game releases.
I can't help but thinking about like walking into like Lyle's room for a quick second and Lyle being like, I thought I just heard something. No, it must have been nothing.
I would be those switchy stacks in the stealth game. But also be distracted by a stone you throw. I would have
Right?
done that.
Something falls off. What?
Guess it was nothing.
Yeah.
All right, notable game releases. Dave, why don't you start us off here?
Starting off February 28th, the last day of the month. Scars Above will be releasing on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. This is that like sci-fi, like third person, not Returnal, possibly Dead Space, but not.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, I have been playing Deliver Us Mars, and that game is absolutely amazing, and I am so afraid that Scars Above is not gonna be as good, because I have been looking forward to Scars Above for so long.
Yeah, since they shut it off, it looks cool.
And now I'm like so afraid that Deliver Us Mars will have spoiled me for space games for forever.
It's hard. I mean, this game feels like, at least for me, it popped up and it was cool, and then I completely forgotten about it. And every once in a while, it pops up to the point where, like, I'll think about it and I'll be like, "When the fuck is this coming out?" And the fact that it's coming out so soon, I would have been like, "There's
Today.
no way. There's no way I would have paid attention to that."
Not long after that, Wolong Fallen Dynasty is coming out March 3rd on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
If you are curious right now, there is a demo out for Wolong Fallen Dynasty on these systems. Something that I'm very looking to try myself, on the idea that this might be one of my topics.
Yes, Lyle.
That's me.
What?
What the hell is this game?
Wolong Fallen Dynasty?
Yeah.
It's like Neo, but Sekiro, but also gives off the Wukong vibe, but it's just a guy and not a monkey. Can I just take one
I have
fucking
no idea
minute?
what you just said.
I understand that there's trends in video games and everyone gets so fucking like hard and girthy when something comes out, and they can't fucking stop by making more of that. Cyberpunk came out, then we got Cloudpunk, then every other game wanted to do Cyberpunk. Ghost of Tsushima came out, and every single fucking person wants to do goddamn samurai games. And what the fuck is with all of the Monkey King games? There's been so many. Why is the Monkey King the trend right now?
Did King Kong make some sort of big comeback that we don't know about?
What? No. No. Do you know who the Monkey King is?
No, I just thought you were talking about like a big monkey. So
No.
King Kong.
So, do you remember Enslaved Odyssey to the West?
Yeah.
So, I don't remember his name. I want to say it's Wukong. Wukong is the name of the Monkey King. It's like a very ancient Asian Japanese sort of like story character, very prominent character. And basically Wukong, that really dope like Souls-like game coming out, is based off him. I actually have a game nearby called Monkey King Hero is Back, another one. Enslaved Odyssey to the West is actually a version of that Monkey King story.
Yes, I see Monkey King is a legendary Chinese mythical figure.
Mm-hmm.
And Wolong is related to this how?
Because I keep fucking getting it confused with Wukong. And they're both Souls-like games, and it pisses me off. It's the whole fucking
this is a Souls-like
Gerard Butler,
game?
Russell Crowe
Oh
situation.
yeah, it's very Souls-like.
Ah,
Yes.
okay, that answers my question. Thank you so much. Sponsoring Dave.
So,
Okay, so it's a Souls.
well, I mean, no, you are Dave. There is if you look up Wolong Fallen Dynasty: The Monkey King, one of the first things is Wolong Fallen Dynasty monkey fight gameplay.
Okay.
So it's a boss.
So
So
yeah, I think you fight it.
No, it sounds to me like you're just fighting a monkey, not the monkey king.
Yeah, but it's big. It could be a
Okay.
king.
Okay, this is still 100% semi-unrelated.
Good.
But either way, you know
All
what?
right.
Fuck
I know what
Wolong.
game
I
is-
want Wukong. I want Black Myth Wukong.
Oh,
I
Wolong
want
looks
that.
cool.
It does. It's more Neo, and I haven't played the
Yes.
Neo games, but I'm still like my biggest problem, I'd say, when it comes to it is it's like based off the gameplay that I've
Neo.
seen. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Matrix. I was so confused.
Oh, yeah. No. I wish. Fucking give me Path of Neo, but like a real, like a fucking Souls-like game. That'd be sick. But where was I going with this?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
my issue is that instead of like it's actually attacking and like chipping away at the health bar, you're doing something similar to like Sekiro, where you're kind of building up a parry bar or whatever in a way, and then once that's full, you sort of automatically do like a major attack that takes away like a good quarter of their health bar, and I feel like I don't like that sort of system, but I still have to try it and see.
You do. You're the Souls guy now, so
Apparently,
You have
I'm
to
fucking
try.
playing every single one left and right because they're fun, and I'm not beating them, but I'm just playing them.
I'm so afraid you're gonna convert me as well.
It's
Oh,
dude.
we will.
I
If
need
you
to be
if you
strong. I need to be
for me
strong.
personally, it was Steel Rising. That one was the easiest, and it was the most. That was the way for me to understand and like kind of get around it. So it's not just like death, anger to the point where like I'm never gonna play these games. But it was just enough to get me like to understand it and to win. And then I started like tasting blood and wanting more. So then I hopped back into Elden Ring, and then 60 hours flew by like nothing.
Lyle, you played Star Wars Jedi, was it Fallen Order?
I was about
That's-
to say that's kind
Yep.
of like the only one that I think that I have
You're-
played in kind of that.
You're opening
Area.
that door is like cracked open then. You just
But I
gotta
mean, it's been
barrel
years
through.
since I played it, and I still haven't played any. I think the From Software thing is also it's JRPG, so that's a layer on top that I don't like. So
They it definitely can be daunting their whole like upgrading system to the point where most games I haven't done it with I did do it with Elden Ring. I usually look up like, hey, these are the type of builds I want. What do I do? Like what
I
weapon,
don't
what
do
stats,
that.
and then
I just
do
run
it.
in and play.
I think what puts me off as well a lot is how slow, especially the Dark Souls games, look and what I think they feel like, because still in Jedi Fallen Order you move pretty fast because you're fucking Jedi and would be
You
stupid to
should
take that away from you.
Sekiro?
No, Sekiro I don't think is a good one to start with. That is
Definitely not.
It is by far the most difficult of them, at least in my experience. Bloodborne, I think, is a great starting on point. It is
Yeah, but
about being
even,
much.
but even that, I watched a friend of mine like
I don't
stream
think
it.
Bloodborne's a good starting point. I think something like a Steel Rising or whatever
Yeah.
for people who really aren't like for someone like me who's been struggling for years. As I've been wanting to enjoy these games for years, and Steel Rising was what got me over that hump.
I
Only
also,
to realize when I played Elden Ring, all right, yeah, Steel Rising is so fucking easy. But like it is what got me pushed over. Now I played Jedi, but I also played it on the easiest difficulty. So that's not the same thing.
yeah, I think I can like these types of games when they are very specifically in an area that I like Star Wars, or even something like
Yes.
even
That's
something like-
what Steel Rising was for me, because I love steampunk and shit like that, and that's exactly what this was.
I just think From Software, they do have this added layer of it's a JRPG, and I do not want to bother. So I think those I will probably never touch, but I am more open to trying games that I feel like I wouldn't enjoy.
I will make sure we
Souls-like.
launch some sort of series or something to which you have to play them.
Oh no.
That's
I said
we'll start
to a
working on
friend
that.
of mine, the only way I would do this if you would pay me $1,000 each hour that I play.
All right,
Then I
Dave,
would.
this is our mission. We have to get so big that we can
We don't
afford to
have
pay
$1,000.
$1,000 an hour.
We just have cameras and that feeling of I have to.
Yeah, is that close to $1,000 for you?
You're gonna come here into my house, push cameras into my face, and just tell me you have to.
Well,
Is
maybe
that
Dylan
your
will push
plan?
cameras in your face. I'll hold a camera on my face, complaining why the fuck there's milk in bags the entire time.
That would be totally worth the cost of an international trip.
I think so.
To complain about milk.
All right, somehow we managed to make the episode about just as long as the game. I thought we'd
Yeah.
be here for
You will
not
run
long.
out of gameplay footage by this point.
Yeah. So we're gonna call it. Thanks for listening, everyone. Next week, Like a Dragon, Ishin, join us for that deep dive review. Bye.
Woo-hoo!
I'm Dave.